name is Bilqis Elora Nuro with students number 231220229.
My name is Wina Pujianita with students number 2312202.
Alright, without any further ado, let's move on to the material. And here the first material is about the transference. The transference or transcription is the process of transferring the SL to the word SL word to TL text as translation procedures. It is the same as card for transference and include the transliteration, which related to the conversion of different alphabets. The example is from Arabic to English, and this is called as loan word. So the example from loan word is from kahwa in Arabic to kafi in English. So the next is naturalization. This procedure success transfers and adapts the SL word first to the normal pronunciation, then the normal morphology word forms of the TL. So the next is cultural equivalent. This is an approximate translation when the SL cultural word is translated by TL cultural word. The example that baccalaureate is translated. That is the example in French. So translated as a level in English. So the next is functional equivalent. This is a common procedure applied to the cultural word, requires the use of a culture-free word, sometimes with a new specific term is therefore naturalist or generalist SL word, and sometimes at the particular. So this translation procedures is the most accurate way of translating. So for the next material, we will delivered by Wina. Please.
Okay, next one, descriptive equivalent. Descriptive equivalent is an essential translation procedure that enhances understanding by providing detailed explanation of term and concept. This method is particularly useful when there is no direct equivalent for a term or when a more detailed understanding of the concept is necessary. And next is synonymized. This procedure is used for a source language word where there is no clear one-to-one equivalent, and the word is not important in the text, in particular for adjective or adverb of quality, which is principle are outside the grammar and less important than other components of a sentence. Synonymized is a translation procedure that includes using a word in the target language that has similar meaning to a word in the source language, particularly when there is no direct one-to-one equivalent. And next, root translation. Root translation is a specific translation procedure that includes the literal translation of phrases or expression from the source language to the target language. This method is particularly useful when calculating common collocation, names of organization, and components of compounds. And next, shift of transposition. Shift of transposition is translation revert to the necessary change made to grammatical structure when transferring meaning from a source language to a target language. There is four types of shift of transposition. First is obligation transposition. This occurs when a change in grammatical structure is required due to inherent difference between the source language and target language. And second is optional transposition. In the optional transposition, the translator has discretion in making changes that might not be strictly necessary but improve the flow or clarity of the translation. And third is double transposition. This includes making two similar changes to achieve a more natural expression in the target language. And last is lexical gaps. Sometimes specific structure in the source language do not exist in the target language, requiring a shift to fill the gaps. And next point,
by translators when the target language rejects literal translation, which by denying and the government's criteria means virtually always. And next one is recognized translation. It occurs when the translator normally uses the official of the generally accepted translation of any institutional term. Next is translation label. So this is a professional translation, usually of a new institutional term, which should be made in inverted commas, which can later be discreetly withdrawn. It could be done through literal translation. And the next is compensation. This is said to occur when loss of meaning, so effect, metaphor, or pragmatic effect in one part of a sentence is compensated in another part or in a contiguous sentence. Next, componential analysis. This is the splitting up of lexical unit into its sense components, often 1 to 2, 3 or 4 translation. So componential analysis translation is the basic comparison of source language word with a target language which has a similar meaning but not use one-to-one equivalent by demonstrating first their common and their differing sense components. So in modulation, there are other modulation procedures. The first one is abstract for concrete, second, cause for effect, third, one part for another, fourth, reversal of terms, sixth, fifth, active for passive, sixth, interval and limits, and the last one is change of symbol. Okay, the next material will be explained by Bilqis.
Okay, let's move to the other material about the other translation procedures. There's a reduction and expansion. Reduction and expansion is discussed about imprecise translation procedures that translation often used intuitively, especially with dealing with poorly written text. Two notable shifts are mentioned. The first one is substance and general noun. In cases where a source language adjective of substance is combined with a general noun, the target language may use this noun. For the second one is expansion. Expansion is this involves translating an SL adjective into a linguistic adverb plus a past participle or present participle with an object. And then the next material is paragraph. This is an explanation of the meaning of a segment of the text. It is used in an anonymous text when it is poorly written or has important implications and omissions. And then the next material is other procedures. Other procedures discusses the two translation procedures defined by Wina and Darbonan. The first one is equivalence. Refers to using different terms to describe the same situation, often applied to notices, phrases, and idioms. For example, translating the story so far as resume this chapter's precedents. And then the next point is adaptation. Involves using culturally recognized equivalent, such as translating dear sir to monsieur or yours ever to amethyst. And then the next part is other procedures. The text discusses translation procedures, specifically how couplets, triplets, and quadruplets combine different methods to address a single problem, especially with cultural words. It emphasizes that quadruplets are used mainly for metalingual terms and provides an example involving the translation of nominal clause. Next. For the last material is notes, addition, and glosses. information and translation might act as cultural, technical, and linguistic, depending on the audience need. There are types of additional information about the other translation procedures. So the first one is cultural, explaining differences between source language and target language cultures. And then next is technical. Technical is related to the subject matter. And then linguistic, clarifying unusual word usage. And then expressive versus vocative text. In expressive text, additional information typically appears outside to the translation, while in vocative text, TL information often replaces SL information. And then forms and additional information. Within the text, options include alternative translation, adjectival clauses, apposition, participle groups, and parenthetical explanations. Notes can also be placed at the bottom of the page end of the chapters or at the book's end with preference shifting based on length and relevance. And then cautions. Avoid using reference material to replace original text. It should only supplement where the text is unclear. Be cautious of expert input to ensure it aligns closely with the original text intent. And then the last one is importance of transparency. For significant translation, whether a preface or